Jenkins,
Here.
Harden,
Here.
Hahn,
Here.
McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing that we have on this evening's agenda are public comments. And we have 3 this evening. The first one will be Mr. Hull. Sir?
I just want to make it official what I mentioned to you before the meeting. Relative to the topic for your closed session, you list that it's for real property for use of the public body.
Okay.
And I'd ask the council to kind of reconsider that. I think the assumption here is about West Street and the Casey's property.
It is.
The city has no use for that property. You're simply being...
Economic development.
Excuse me, I think I have the floor. Excuse me, I'm explaining my argument, I'm
Yes.
putting it on the record, okay? You were resoundingly criticized for the ethical and moral choices over the past 2 years of discussing this whole project secretly, when really the end result is none of this property is really public use, okay? And I would ask you to consider, are you meeting the technical qualification of the law or the moral and ethical requirement law? Because doing this in public is not going to hurt the project, okay? It has hurt this council. It's hurt this community.
Sir?
I was just going to say, the Illinois Supreme Court has held that economic development is not for public use.
Gentlemen, thoughts?
As I said, I'm not talking about the technical legal requirements. I'm talking about the moral and ethical complaints you heard at the public meeting. That you are not being open, not only this council, but mainly the fire, not being open and being honest with the public. Because you're essentially enabling a private development at the public expense, and you've been doing it all privately.
Any? The next individual we have is Virgie Oliver. Yes, ma'am.
What I want to say is you guys should vote no because Lynn does not have a written agreement. Anybody can say anything, but unless it's in writing, because I've already seen their writing before, and it contradicts and stuff. So until it's in writing, I don't think there's an agreement. So I think it should be voted down. I think you should leave the streets where they're at until there's an agreement. I don't want Lynn hurt.
Agreed. And then we have Mr. Armaker. Yes, sir.
I was kind of told earlier today, or at least under the assumption that this was going to be removed from the agenda tonight, or maybe I misunderstood from a couple of the council members. The other thing is, yeah, there is kind of an agreement. It's still it's not a full written agreement yet. And I was under the idea that we're going to have some time to work on it before it came to council for the official vote. My lawyer had also asked today, I'm pretty sure he called you, about seeing if we can help with any of the legal fees that have incurred.
I received
during
an
that.
email.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So
And somewhat responded, I believe.
Yeah.
Did we respond as
Yes, we did.
okay, Lord?
So he just wanted me to remind you guys that if you do vote for it, it'd be hard for me to include this into any of the contracts later on, unless we can work something else out. Okay, thank you.
There is no written agreement, correct?
There is.
There is a written agreement?
He
Yes,
hasn't
sir.
signed anything.
Well, no, I haven't seen. My lawyer called me about 3 o'clock today and just went over the same points as Mr. Talk, just to compare notes. And he said that once we got done with this, he got prepared that he was going to start writing up agreement. I have not received anything showing it was writing yet.
Do you have that available right now?
Yeah, the agreement. What there is, Mayor, it's an agreement between Millennium Park and the city. It's the item to be voted on by ordinance number 928,
Got it.
okay?
So it's
What
within
that
ours.
agreement provides, in essence, is this, that the if this city council determines to vacate West Street and the areas we've talked about, then Millennia Park will convey a strip of land 32 feet wide and immediately adjacent to Mr. Amaker's property to Mr. Amaker. That has to happen before the ordinance can be recorded and become effective. Okay?
And it's 32 wide by full deep,
Right.
125 or whatever.
Completely parallel and adjacent to,
But see, until I see
Like
it
it.
in writing, it
Well,
don't mean
it's-
anything.
It is in writing?
It is in
your
writing.
document. Okay.
and that's the agreement that you will be voting on in connection with ordinance number 928. Now, if that doesn't happen, the ordinance would not become effective.
Okay.
So then you have nothing at all.
What?
See nothing, nothing, and something.
No,
That isn't what I just said. Well, he doesn't have anything, but he can see the agreement between Millennia Park and the city that makes provision for that. If that doesn't happen, then the ordinance vacating any right-of-way would not become effective.
You have a copy of the ordinance from this.
I think I emailed a copy of that agreement to Larry earlier this afternoon.
Section 2.
So if the council votes yes on this, the ordinance only becomes effective if what Mr. Amaker has seen is actually handed over to him. Okay.
Right.
Lynn, did you have anything else?
Not at this point.
Now, I mean, there is, whatever you want to do on attorney's fees, I mean, that's not provided for in the agreement between Millennia Park and the city. That's something that would be strictly between the city and Mr. Amaker.
Okay.
So you can do a verbal agreement on that tonight if you want to do that.
No further public comments. We move to section 1.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll second.
Call it.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Han,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
motion carried.
This moves us to section 2, unfinished business.
Make a motion to remove resolution 2013-30, the intergovernmental agreement with the Blue Ridge School District, remove that from the table.
Second.
Call it.
Harden,
Yes.
Han,
Yes.
McKinley, Pearl,
Yeah.
Jenkins,
Yes.
motion carried.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2013-30, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Blue Ridge School District.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Do you have any representation on this?
So, with Chief Deno is here, if, sir, if you'd like to speak to this at all,
And I can answer whatever questions anyone may have regarding it.
you have a packet that was in your,
I have a few questions.
yes, sir.
Okay, down here at the bottom on this first page, it says our cost of the city is gonna be a little over $3,800. But we're also responsible for any benefits or anything other than that. And I read through here and highlighted a few things. One is like, they're talking maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. I think it's 5. And then it's a mention in here about extracurricular activities. Is the school district going to pay for the extracurricular activities, or are we going to split the cost on that?
First, to explain the first issue of the benefits. At this point in time, this is considered a part-time position, so there would be no benefits afforded to that employee.
Okay.
So there would be no additional costs related to that other than the base salary.
And probably we can't discuss it here, but I'm gonna put the question to you. I know in some places, if you work so many hours, you're entitled to so much benefits, 50%, 3/4, however you got it set up. And I'm not sure with our contract with the police department where we stand on that.
This person does not fall into the contract, the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police contract.
Okay.
As far as your other questions are concerned, you stated the additional hours that may be incurred. Having discussed this with the school administration, the hours are based on a 25-hour per week
Okay.
curriculum.
Okay.
Those hours are flexible based on the needs of the school. So if there's an activity that occurs after hours, say a sporting event or other activity that they wish that resource officer to be present at, that would be compensated from other hours during the week that school resource officer would be utilized.
Okay.
If there were additional activities or training that the school felt paramount for that person to be there, the school would assume the financial responsibility for that.
Other questions?
No, that's all I have.
Sir? No question?
What are the jobs gonna be of the officer there at the school? Is there gonna be, so you're just gonna be like a hallway patrol, or are they gonna be educating anything, anybody, or what's their job gonna be doing there?
Okay, a school resource officer, people get a little bit confused when they hear officer. They assume that it's a security guard or someone just walking the halls, making sure that no one bad comes in or nothing bad happens while they're there. While that is part of the duties and responsibilities, more than that is a part of educating the student body as well as the faculty. The student body to dealing with things such as the bullying issues, the drug and alcohol issues that they face, sexual crimes that they are involved in, but also to educate the faculty on what to do, how to identify troubled students before an extreme situation should occur. So it's all multifaceted.
Okay, so are they gonna be going into classrooms, or are they
Yes.
just gonna be there for questions, or?
No, they will be actually going into classrooms and conducting lessons with the classes.
They will be teaching, or they just be observing?
No, they will be teaching.
And this is an officer that's currently with us, I believe, correct?
That is correct.
And so so it sounds like she's gonna stay part-time, so this will be really her primary role.
That is correct.
So are we having another part-time officer coming in then, or another officer taking her?
We haven't
position?
issued that issue as of yet.
Okay,
We still have 2 other part-time officers on the roster. So
okay, so we'll be able to cover shifts still, okay. And is there, I mean, success stories from other communities, is there, I mean, I guess, just, we're outlaying more money, or laying out more money here, has there been a need for this that's been, identified by the school that came to us? Are we putting this out there? Can you give me the origin, I guess?
Sure.
If you wouldn't mind.
We initially contacted the school regarding our desire to have enforcement in the school. That's been an ongoing project for as long as I've been involved with the city. We go up there periodically, we meet with the driver's ed classes, we talk to them about some of the laws and things that they can expect to find once they get out in the real world, in hopes that we can help them not get into trouble, not do things that they're not supposed to do. Unfortunately, with our staffing, full-time staffing, what it is, it's hard to take away from the duties during the day to go up there and do that. This is a program that's designed to incorporate that. Years ago, there was a DARE program. Some of you may remember that. Okay, that program is kind of phased out. It was proven over time that it didn't really do what they had hoped it would do. Now, with the school resource officer, it opens up another venue outside of just the drug and alcohol aspect, that they can interact with the students and educate them. So we contacted the school, we ran the idea by them, what they thought. We asked them, we can consider this maybe as a pilot program for the district. What do you think? And they were all for it. They thought it was a great idea. They feel that there is a need, not only for a security feeling, but also from the educational standpoint. It's, again, being multifaceted.
Okay. And is this something that, I've asked a couple teachers in other districts, and they're saying that they've seen these programs in their school, so this is pretty common?
This is very common, yes, yes. Yeah. In Dewa County, Clinton has one in their high school. We obviously do not. McLean County, I know Leroy's pushing to put one in theirs. So it's advancing. The larger communities, they've been in place for many years, for many years. The program just continues to develop and develop as it goes, because they find that the need is being met, that they are actually accomplishing what they're setting out to do, and that's to interact at an earlier age, to give the children a venue, a place where they can interact with law enforcement that's not in a threatening or a negative environment. So it builds that rapport early on with them. Now, we're talking from toddlers all the way up to grade 12. They're mentors for these kids who may not have a mentor at home. They're a source, they're a location for these people to go to when they have an issue or concern. Doesn't mean they have the magic wand to fix it, but they have the responsibility to point them in the right direction and get them the help and the resources that they need, whether it's dynamics at home, school, or elsewhere.
Thank you.
Was you guys gonna be doing here in Mansfield?
Yes,
The other program that you mentioned, Clinton and Leroy and all them, were they being funded by the city, or was the school paying for it, or how was it?
I honestly do not know how Clinton finances theirs, and I'm not sure how they are going to do it with Leroy. They're still in the negotiation phase with them. They're very early on in their stage.
These numbers that we have at the bottom here are, I'm assuming, are from December 16th to June 4th.
Yes.
And at the end of that time, we're going to discuss and see if they want to do it at a full-time basis.
Correct.
Okay, my concern is can the police department's budget handle this?
I believe so, yes.
Is there gonna be, and I guess I'm totally for being a structure for the kids. I think we all are. But the simple fact is, I don't know if it would be worth the 5 hours there every day. Is that gonna be real resourceful to where they can learn from it? Or is it just something we're just gonna try, or what's the situation on that?
That's being worked out between the school resource officer and the school administration. All of these structuring for scheduling will be conducted through the administration of the school. Right now, we have not pinpointed how the schedule will actually work, because of course we don't know if it's going to be approved. We get the approval here, we get the approval from the school board, then at that point in time, the school resource officer and the school administration will sit down. They will determine what course of action they want to pursue, what are their hotbed areas, what areas do they want to focus on. And if it means that you're going to do 8 hours here today, there may be a Monday that they don't work because of the schedule. It may be more advantageous to have them there for that full school day. So the scheduling is going to be flexible on the needs of the school and what the curriculum actually entails. That's to be determined once we get approval for the program.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Sir?
Thanks.
Any further discussion? Colin?
Han,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
motion carries.
This moves us to new business.
Make a motion to move us into executive session to discuss the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body by ILCS 120/2C5.
I'll second.
Discussion. Call it.
McKinley,
No.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
No.
Harden,
No.
Han.
No.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 928, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of certain real estate upon dedication of portions of West Street.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Yes. First of all, I want to note that I am not against Jim Swartz. Everybody everybody heard that, I hope. I am not against Jim Swartz. Jim Swartz has done a lot of good things for this town. And down in his area where when he grew up at and everything, where his family home is at, he's done a lot of good things down in there. But the one thing I don't like about this is the way the whole deal was cooked. And I'm upset with the mayor and a city manager who cooked this deal. And it brings in a lot of problems. Nothing was taken into consideration, i.e. Lynn's situation and everything. You know, I don't think that was taken into consideration. I'm not going to vote for this tonight. And I don't have anything against Casey's either. Been good business here in town, but Casey's can fight for themselves to get what they want to move. And they have moved in other locations, in other towns, went to bigger stores. And but how they're going to leave, they don't get this. So that's all I got.
Any other discussion?
I'm still leery. I like to make sure everything's in writing about all this.
Well, this is authorizing the acquisition of certain real estate upon the vacation portions of West Street. So this would be before you even vote to close West Street. This is just obtaining the land. So,
You have a copy of the contract?
yeah, because it is, as to your argument, it is right. They cannot move, if you vote yes on the ordinance, they cannot move forward on it unless what is promised as written down is given to them. If they fail to do that, correct, sir? If they fail to do it, the ordinance is null and void.
There are two contingencies. One of which runs to Mr. Amaker, the other runs to the village. And what this contract essentially says is that if you vote to vacate the two portions of West Street, two things have to happen. Number one, there needs to be a conveyance of the 4.6 acre tract that would come from Millennia Park to the city. The second piece of that is Mr. Amaker's piece. There also has to be a deed conveying the strip of land that's 32 feet in width and actually 125 feet in length that goes from the Water Street right-of-way all the way up adjacent to Mr. Amaker's property. There has to be a deed from Millennia Park to him for that hunk of land. If those things don't occur, everything falls apart. Okay? The vacation ordinance, the next item, is written in such a fashion that in the last section of it, it says it doesn't become effective until it's recorded. Okay? The city's not going to give Millennia Park a certified copy of that ordinance, nor is the mayor going to sign approving it until A, the deed is there, fully signed, executed, and delivered, conveying the 4.6 acre tract to the city, and the deed is there, executed, and delivered to Mr. Amaker. Now that's subject to Mr. Amaker paying $10,000 for that strip of land, which is a part of the negotiated transaction. Is that correct or not?
Right, and there's one other thing we're also wanting the title from the city, because there's been questions early on of who would actually own that strip of land if it was vacated. Because there was that question about when it was a Heritage Edition, would it go to him, would that become me? So we were just looking for also title from the city and from Millennium Park, so it just make sure it's nice
I'll
and clear.
discuss that with your attorney, because
Okay.
that's a technical matter that we have to resolve. The basic elements of the transaction are there, they're in writing, it's in the agreement between the city and Millennia Park.
Other discussion?
If you got a copy of it, page 2 talks about the requirement for the deed to Mr. Amaker, and also the deed
the city is continuing to.
So if this passes, it's gotta be okay to pass through over there, otherwise it's just thrown out.
Yes. Other discussion?
I'm good.
Call it.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Hahn,
Yes.
McKinley, Pearl.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 929, an ordinance vacating certain right-of-way West Street between Market Street and Green Street, and between Green Street and Water Street.
Second.
Any discussion?
I did know what I said earlier.
Call it.
Harden,
Yes.
Hahn,
Yes.
McKinley,
No.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Make a motion, we accept ordinance 930, ordinance selling the 1988 Chevrolet dump truck to the village of Gifford.
Second.
Discussion.
This came about just the other day. There was a newspaper article, I don't know if you saw the front page of the News Gazette, and it showed Gifford's one and only snowplow that was destroyed during the tornado. We had tried to sell that truck on through the newspapers. You know, we only got a couple bids. One bid was only $200. So I sent out an email to see if you guys would be interested in doing that before I even contacted Gifford. You all sounded like it would be a good deal. We have drafted up an ordinance. I did check with legal to make sure that we could do this and sell it for the price of $1. The guys are kind of putting it back together. I contacted a sign shop in Champaign, and we have Village of Gifford Public Works door decals to put on it upon passage. So when we take it over there, they will be getting a snowplow. If you've seen the weather forecast, they're calling for snow on Thursday. So,
Any discussion? Question?
Thanks for doing that, Larry.
Yes.
Sandy's idea.
Well, Sandy, thank you.
Call it.
Hahn,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Go ahead, Josh.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 931, ordinance amending chapter 30, 30-051 meetings.
I'll second
And that's just setting the dates of the meetings for 2014, correct?
Call it.
McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden,
it. Yes.
Hahn.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Make a motion that we accept ordinance 932, the levying of real estate taxes for the fiscal year 2013-2014.
Second.
Any discussion? Call it.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Hahn,
Yes.
McKinley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2013-31, establishing the 2014 meeting dates.
I'll second it.
Call it.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Hahn,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This moves us to section 4, other items, and to the city manager's report.
Oh, I have one thing there that I threw out. Willard had asked at the last about checking on a drainage district, so I pulled up just a section. If you look down at the bottom, I don't know what page that is, but there's more than 85 pages to the statute, so I didn't want to print out the whole thing for a treat. But it talks about establishing a drainage district. So, you know, if it's something that you think that we want to try sometime, we can give it a try. I don't know how easy it would be to get the amount of people to sign a petition to get one started, so. But I did pull that information up for you, so you could have that, you could look at it. I did get a hold of Farnsworth, they're gonna come down, they thought that engineering for that would be pretty minimal, since we already had the cuts. There wouldn't be a lot of information that they would have to do, so we could get the DNR permit, so we could get started.
Now, Larry, if we create if the drainage district is created by the, these 20% of the owners signing it, do we still need to do the engineering and involve the DNR and all that?
Well, if you have a drainage district and you have, I believe, 3 commissioners appointed to that, then it's their baby, so we wouldn't have to, they manage the drainage district.
The appointment, is it are they appointed all the time, or are they elected in, or?
I think it's like maybe every 3 years.
They're elected.
So there would just be 3, that's all there would be?
I believe so, and I believe it says that in the statute. And I could print out the whole thing if you want to sit there and read it, so. But that just tells you about the petition process, so that's the only reason I just threw that one page.
I think it's something to look at, because what we got going through town would help us out. If we could able to keep that creek cleaned up, because it does take a lot of water away.
I think the only issue would be if it could be determined how much land was draining into that, getting those farmers to sign.
I was just gonna think that too, because what comes up from the north and everything, that
Mhm.
they play a big part in this, because I know one farmer had mentioned to me in the past, you need to do something, because when the rest area was built, they thought they was just gonna flood the town. Really, it never did, even before the West Side Drainage Project was done, no worse than it ever had been. But, still, they could be part of that 20%, I assume.
Mhm. Property owners, yeah, they'd have to be.
When would be the earliest the work could start? Or do we have to wait till spring for the work to?
For what we're talking about doing now.
You have to get voted in first.
Well, no, I mean, if we through the DNR and all that stuff. If we just left it the way it is currently without
Oh,
this.
when could they start?
Yeah.
As soon as they get a permit, but I'm thinking now, probably what they would do is wait for the ground to firm up, get a good frost in the ground, so it doesn't, tear up the yards too bad.
I'm just trying to figure out, we want to get this done, so I'm trying to figure out is it going to be the same time frame anyway, no matter which way we do it?
But,
If it is, then why don't we save the money?
right, Farnsworth hasn't done anything with it yet, so, but they do have the information.
Thank you.
Any questions to the city manager and his report? Any non-agenda items and other business? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Call.
Harden,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl, Jenkins,
Yes.